There is no such thing as a free transfer. It's all a lie. In fact, the free transfer of Messi will cost PSG at least 135 million euros over 3 seasons. In the last decade, transfer fees totaled 45 billion euros, and yet that is just the tip of the iceberg. Behind the headline figures, billions of euros secretly change hands. What on earth are all these hidden costs? Welcome to another OneFootball and Athletic Interest collaboration presented by Bybit. In this video, we will explore the hidden costs of transfers, from agent fees to the construction of Lego houses. Old people love to claim that things were simpler in the 60s, and in the case of football, they are completely correct. Historically, a transfer included only 2 costs: the transfer fee and the salary. Let's break those down. Imagine that Lionel plays for AIFC. AIFC own Lionel, but in reality they simply hold a registration certificate that gives them the exclusive right to use Lionel in their squad. In return for exclusivity, Lionel receives a wage. If OneFootball FC wants to buy Lionel, they need to agree on a fee with AIFC to take over control of the registration certificate. After a quick negotiation over wages, Lionel will complete a transfer to OneFootball FC. This process was simple and cost-effective. In the 50s and 60s, a transfer negotiation would probably consist of the club owners, the 2 coaches, and the player. If the player was important enough, they might bring an agent, which was often their dad. Today, transfer negotiations involve agents, legal teams, club officials, accountants, coaches, and even a player's entourage. With so many interested parties, things get complex and expensive. To understand how we got into this mess, we need to take a trip back in time. Until 1994, the UEFA quota only allowed clubs to name 3 foreign players in a European match squad. Naturally, this made the transfer of foreign players unattractive. To make matters worse, some countries had rules that meant that even if a player was out of contract, if a foreign club wanted to sign him, they would need to pay his old club a transfer fee. In many ways, the European transfer system was set up to prevent footballers from moving clubs. That was until one man single-handedly changed football forever. Enter Jean-Marc Bosman. In 1990, Bosman's contract with the Belgian side RFC Liège expired. In an effort to jumpstart his career, Bosman decided to move to the French club Dunkirk. Unfortunately, as was the rule at the time, Liège was able to ask Dunkirk to pay a transfer fee. Liège claimed Dunkirk couldn't pay the fee and the deal fell through. Bosman was mad and decided to take his case to the courts of the European Union. Bosman argued that the rule requiring foreign clubs to pay transfer fees for out-of-contract players prevented players from exercising their right to work anywhere in the EU. The court agreed and declared transfer fees for out-of-contract players to be illegal. They also banned quotas for foreign players, meaning that clubs could now buy as many EU players as they wanted. This coincided with an increase in the amount of live football on TV, which saw clubs receive hundreds of millions in extra revenue. Almost overnight, the transfer market exploded. Clubs were scared to lose their best players for free and offered them huge new deals, inflating the wage market. Europe's largest clubs, flushed with cash from broadcasting deals and given permission to buy players from anywhere in Europe, started to treat Europe as their own personal sweet shop. In 1993, foreign representation in the English Premier League was almost non-existent. In fact, there were only 2 German players and 1 French player in the Premier League. 6 years later, there were 23 French and 7 German players. This huge increase in demand saw transfer fees and wages rise. In fact, between 1995 and 2000, wages in Italian football rose by 415%. With more money came greater complexity. Players hired agents and lawyers to represent them. Soon, players demanded houses and bonuses for every goal. As players gained fame, brands began to want to use their image in marketing. So clubs started negotiating for the right to use the player's image in advertising. In the modern era, the transfer of a footballer requires the club to negotiate with hundreds of people and sign multiple contracts. This is an expensive affair, and yet we only hear about the transfer fee. So what are the other costs? Let's take you through the true cost of a transfer, using Erling Haaland as an example. First comes the transfer fee. This is the figure you hear quoted in the press and is essentially the money that the player's current club agrees to receive in return for allowing the player to move. If there is no special agreement, clubs can demand any fee they wish or even refuse to sell. Then comes the salary. Players receive a base salary every week that increases if they trigger bonus clauses. Haaland is set to earn around 400,000 euros a week at his new club. He will also receive a few thousand euros for every appearance, goal and win. If he reaches a certain amount of appearances, let's say 100, his base salary will increase by tens of thousands. Next comes the only thing that politicians want to avoid more than keeping promises: taxes. A club buying a player is not that much different from you purchasing a video game or a burger. It is a transaction, and clubs must charge sales tax. In most EU countries, this tax is around 20%, but is only applied for domestic transfers. Because Haaland moves to the Premier League, Dortmund will not have to charge sales tax because most cross-border transactions are exempt from sales tax. The player's agent will also want a cut. It is often the buying club that will pay the fee. This is because agents facilitate communication between the parties. In general, agents receive around 10% of the transfer fee. Then we have image rights. The more players and clubs grow their fan bases, the more brands want to use their image to sell products. To facilitate this, clubs will agree to pay the player a one-time fee in order to use his image in marketing. Finally, we have the signing bonus. This can occur in two situations. Firstly, if the player did not request the transfer, then the new club has to hand over a percentage of the transfer fee as a signing bonus. Secondly, players involved in a free transfer can also receive a signing bonus. For example, Lionel Messi reportedly earned 25 million when he signed with PSG. If you add up all of these fees, transfers, even free ones, can be incredibly expensive. It is estimated that the signing of Haaland will cost Manchester City at least 300 million euros. But we haven't even touched on the most outrageous part of transfer deals, the so-called favors. Players have been known to ask clubs for extra favors to sweeten the deal. This can be anything from free houses to jobs for their family. When Ronaldinho moved to Mexico in 2014, he asked his new club to provide him with a huge mansion and 4 butlers. When Giuseppe Reina signed a contract with German side Arminia Bielefeld in 1996, he required the club to build him a house for every year of his contract. He failed to specify the size or material of these houses, so the club built him several Lego houses instead. The key lesson here is to not believe the headlines. The numbers reported in the media represent only a fraction of the true cost of a transfer. You still have to factor in agent fees, bonuses, and Lego houses. Thanks a lot to Bybit for sponsoring this video, and until next time.